Tesla accepts the MCU recall, the company readies to build a new factory in India, Germany looks to lead in autonomy regulation, the US is about to become a big EV customer, and more. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 642 for February 14th, 2021. This show is brought to you by my supporter, Brad. Brad wants to encourage all of you to consider joining him as a supporter of Tesla Tidbits on patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. Let's join together to keep the Tesla Tidbits coming. The lead story today is Tesla agreeing to the recall that NHTSA had requested on vehicles equipped with the original MCU units that are destined for failure within a car's lifetime. Teslarati brings us the story that Model S built between 2012 and 2018 and Model X built between 2016 and 2018 will be eligible for the recall. As I've previously discussed, the issue at hand is the 8GB memory unit that the original MCU is equipped with that undoubtedly will fail in the vehicle's lifetime due to the wear the vehicle puts on it with many writes to the unit. The article states that Tesla will replace the memory unit with an enhanced version free of charge. I recently spoke to a mobile tech about this issue, and they said that we can expect a new 64GB unit to be installed, and that Tesla will be first calling in customers closest to failure on their units for recall, though everyone affected will eventually be recalled. One thing that definitely won't be happening, as some had hoped, is a complimentary MCU upgrade to version 2. As I have been affected by this issue, I'll keep you posted on my experience in the recall. Tidbit number 2 today would normally have been a lead story in most weeks, except, a recall affecting about a quarter of the Tesla fleet happened. Anyhow, Tasmanian reports that Tesla does indeed plan to build a factory in India in Karnataka. As I told you all recently, Tesla officially began operations in India, and at the time it wasn't clear if this was any more than just Tesla paving the way for sales and service in the country, or if it was more than that. A chief minister, whose name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce to save myself the embarrassment of butchering it, said in a statement, quote, "American firm Tesla will open an electric car manufacturing unit in Karnataka," end quote. Per the article, the minister had also tweeted that Bengaluru would also receive an R&D center as well, but that tweet was later deleted. I suspect that may have been announcing something before folks were ready, as you don't tend to publish complete fabrications as a government official. This is huge news, as this is Tesla's 7th factory now, and another hugely important one in a locale that represents enormous potential demand waiting to be filled. The factory could plausibly assist the Shanghai factory in providing vehicles to the rest of Asia, and I'd even posit that vehicles bound for Australia could potentially be built there as well, given the state's access to the water. However, we don't know exactly where in the state the factory will be built yet, so this may be somewhat presumptuous on my part. Regardless, this is big news for the company and for India. Tidbit number 3 today is another story that could have been a lead story in a normal week. Alex Voigt tweets that Germany will be approving level 4 autonomy in some instances in the country. Transportation Minister Scheuer is quoted as saying, quote, "For motor vehicles with autonomous driving functions to be able to drive on public roads in regular operation, locally limited to predefined operating areas," end quote. For those needing a refresher, Level 4 autonomy is defined as a vehicle being fully able to handle all driving duties of a vehicle under most conditions, but requiring a driver to still be present because all conditions are not accounted for. This may mean that Tesla could potentially activate the full self-driving feature in Germany for the general populace before all other localities. Of course, this will require much testing first. The question will be, can the US, which has seen the most testing of the feature, catch up on the legislative side before Germany sees more testing? Regardless, it's a near certainty now that the country will be the first in Europe to see the feature in wide release, thanks to its forward thinking on the regulatory front. Our 4th tidbit comes from Teslarati and sets the stage in the US for any automaker making EVs to reap a huge reward. President Biden, as part of one of his first initiatives in office, is making a big push for the government to support and utilize sustainable solutions to problems through his Build Back Better plan. During a recent press conference, he announced his intention to replace the entire fleet of federal vehicles with EVs. Referring to the large federal fleet, he said, quote, "We are going to replace them with clean electric vehicles made right here in America by American workers, creating 1 million auto worker jobs in clean energy, and vehicles that are net zero emissions," end quote. Tesla, GM, and Ford stand to benefit from the plan as the only current domestic manufacturers with production EVs, as the vehicles must be made by domestic manufacturers in order for the government to make the purchase. Tidbit number 5 is also from Teslarati, and it's not good news for some folks. Some folks out there wishing to order a long range rear wheel drive Model Y have been contacted by Tesla to inform them that this version of the car will no longer be produced. Fortunately, they're still keeping their place in line as Tesla hasn't outright canceled the orders. Instead, they're asking if the reservation holders wish to opt instead for a standard range rear-wheel drive or a long-range all-wheel drive version instead, or if they just wish to outright cancel their order voluntarily. Teslarati also confirmed with a Tesla sales advisor themselves to confirm the story. Disappointing news for sure for those that don't need all-wheel drive but want the extra battery, but as the current weather situation in the US is showing, you never really know if you might need that all-wheel drive. Lastly, we'll take a visit to the rumor mill. Many outlets are now reporting this, but I believe Tasmanian was first on the scene with the news that the new, more economical Tesla model has been designed already and will go into production next year. From the article, Chinese media has leaked that the vehicle will be produced in Shanghai and that the verification of the project is expected next month. The chassis will be based on the Model 3, much as the Model Y was. It would seem we're sort of getting a small, medium, and large out of the platform with this newest offering, the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Chinese media sources estimate the price to be between 150 and 200,000 RMB, which equates to $25,000 to $30,000 US. This would be interesting as I'd expect one of two things to be true to arrive at this price. Given the battery pack is the most expensive part of the vehicle, either the vehicle would need to utilize the new 4680 cells, of which thus far we have seen no evidence of being production ready, or this vehicle will see a much more limited range. It's definitely a situation we'll keep an eye on, as this is the holy grail vehicle of EVs, putting its initial pricing competitive with popular internal combustion engine vehicles. That will do it for this week's show. Thanks to all my patrons supporting the show at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. And as always, I have a special shout out to all the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level. They are Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Todd Sullivan, Zortec LED Canada, Raymond and Deborah Makowitz, T Sportline, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Nathan Garza, Ed Petterman, and Sunil Joseph. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. Until next time, keep it charged and hit the road.